It seems as though Andrew Jacked is finally coming into his own. Andrew started off his career strong, but recently, although his placings at the Arnold or the Olympia or his pro wins were good, we all knew he could do better. He really could go all the way. And now he seems more serious than ever, and he is truly knocking on that door. Really, he's already there because he could have won this year's Olympia against Doughboy Derek, but I digress. And with his recent Romania Pro version, we have what I believe to be his best version ever. It's a little less sharp than his Olympia version from this year, but a little bit fuller, which is a look that I think looks better for him. So he is going to be a serious contender for the Olympia title next year. He's bringing his career bests back to back, and he's doubly qualified for 2026, so he has time to improve. Now, given his structural and aesthetic superiority over shorter guys like Hadi and Derek, I think one of the only real people that can be a 100% and improved Andrew is Samson Dauda, and vice versa. Yes, they did face off this year, but obviously that wasn't the best Samson at all. But I wonder what happens next year. This Olympia clearly lit a fire for both guys, but for different reasons. Andrew is looking for that Olympia title and the recognition, and Samson is looking for the redemption that would come with reclaiming his Olympia title. With that said though, who would win at this point with their current bests to date? Would this version of Andrew be able to beat Samson's Olympia winning version from last year? Let's jump into today's video to find out. Remember, if you guys like these types of videos, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more. I think it's obvious that this will be an extremely close matchup with a lot of tough decisions awaiting us, but our first pose, we have one of the easier decisions. Although even though it is technically one of the easier decisions, that doesn't mean it's not close. I think if Andrew made some small posing tweaks to his front double, like adding a tilt or just doing something to even out those lats, he could close the door all the way on this one, but even then, Samson's gonna hold his own any day of the week. But with Andrew's small posing shortcomings, he's still got the goods, so he's still winning. He has the better legs for this pose with the better details, he has thicker, wider lats, and the better arms with more size and better bicep peaks. Now this next statement I'm going to make might actually be a little controversial. However, I think Samson flows just a little bit better in this shot. I hate using that word flow, it's arbitrary, so let me try to explain. When I say Samson has better flow, I mean his pose looks more coherent. Things are arguably more mid when you go body part for body part, but I think that's why his flow looks better. Andrew is very min-maxed with these crazy muscle bellies, but things like the forearms and calves look out of place. Even the arms and lats, while very good, are kinda out of place as well because they are so good. Again, Samson is kind of mid by comparison, but really I just mean everything is more evenly developed and balanced with the other muscle groups. That's truly the epitome of mass with class. Andrew is more on the class side of things that decided to get big, leaving some great things on his physique, but also some things that are just out of place or not really there. He does have gaps in his physique, but clearly it's not that big of a deal for this pose because I'm still putting this in his column. This is one of those 3 shots that he beats pretty much everyone in, even Samson. Like the front double, the front lat spread is also closer than expected. In fact, I think it's even closer. First off, I gotta point out Andrew's posing / mobility issue on the right side of his body. This has been an on and off issue his whole career, and for this shot at this show, it was a small problem. It's not a massive critique, but a pet peeve for sure. It's distracting at the very least. Now again, on Samson's side of things, I find him to be more balanced head to toe, and for me personally, that's a big deal. I really admire the completeness of a physique. A lot of body parts just individually are closer this time as well. The legs I actually have going to Samson now, and I'd probably give him the arms and delts for the fullness in this shot. But then Andrew maintains his edge in the torso heap. Better midsection, from the size of it to the abs, the chest is thicker in this shot and still striated, and his lats are thicker and wider once again. Personally, I honestly do prefer Samson, but Andrew is taking this win objectively. The torso heap and of course the namesake being the lats are hard to argue with. He holds it close in the legs, arms, and delts too, but wins what counts more. He still looks a bit lanky to my eyes. I like Samson's more robust and balanced look, but Andrew is min and most importantly maxed in the right areas. And of course that means Andrew now has 2 2-point wins. We're using my normal judging system of 2, 3, and 4 points to signify small, medium, and large wins. So Andrew is leading right now 4-0, but this comparison is about to get a switch up. I know I've made some questionable statements already, but I want to make another, but this time in the benefit of Andrew. While Samson's side chest is like what the abs and thighs is to Andrew, Andrew at this point is holding the side chest fairly close. In the side leg, I just barely prefer Andrew because of the hamstring drop and the deeper separation, although Samson is drier. The arm and delt are pretty close too, but I have to mention that every photo ever taken at a Romania Pro show is always taken from a bottom-up angle, which helps Andrew in the leg department, but slightly hurts his upper body. It probably doesn't sway anything too much, but if I don't say it, someone in in the comments is going to say I ignored that fact, but all of you are retarded anyway, so someone's going to say it regardless.
What a fucking piece of shit this guy is.
Anyway, we can debate the limbs of the pose, but through the torso and the pecs, you can't deny how much more muscular and just thick Samson is, especially in the chest itself. His posing is overall better too. He gets to show off the abs, which are a nice touch, and overall he just looks more polished. Andrew needs to go back to his 2025 Arnold Classic posing. With that variation and a little more size, I think he can actually make this very close. I don't know if he'll ever be able to beat Samson, but just keeping it close widens his pathway to victory. Really though, by just keeping one of Samson's best poses close, Andrew gets rid of one of Samson's main arguments over him. So it really could be a massive help to him. Anyway, I think although Samson does take this pose, it's still closer, so I'm just going to make it 2 points, but on the upper end of that. I could still see 3 realistically. I didn't think this next pose would be as decisive as it is, but Samson does receive our first non-2-point win in this comparison. He's going to take a 3-pointer in the rear double. Honestly, a shot like this makes me hope that Andrew doesn't do the Arnold Classics this year. I mean, he has been gifted with a golden opportunity. He's already qualified for the 2026 Mr. Olympia, so he can actually take some time to grow where he needs to. But hey, there's also another golden opportunity in the fact that he may win $750,000 at the Arnold, and I probably wouldn't pass that up either. With that said though, clearly there is a big gap between him and Samson in this shot. And in the vacuum of this comparison, I think that's worth enough for 3 points. Maybe in the grand scheme of things, this is only a 2-point win, but because these guys at their best are probably getting a top 2 call out at the Olympia, I think we can view and score these guys in a vacuum. I mean, regardless, I think there is an argument for 3 points any way you look at it. All of Andrew's weaknesses culminate here. Clearly, Samson is more developed, detailed, and balanced head to toe. The lower half is especially brutal. Hopefully we get some improvement from Andrew and just get to that Olympia level condition at the same time. I think it would do wonders for this pose. But right now, there's just really nothing to be said. Samson is clearly winning downstairs. The back is a bit better, it's coming along on Andrew, but it still needs work. I think he could also open up his posing a bit more, that would definitely help. But already, there's some good thickness and detail there, he just needs more, especially in that mid and lower back. Now for the margin on this one, I initially wanted to do 3 points, but I didn't know if I was being hyperbolic, so I went to my Discord and we were in agreement this should in fact be 3 points for Samson. And if you guys want to join the Discord, become a channel member for just a penny a day. You'll support my channel, but also get access to the Discord where we discuss random shit, bodybuilding news, comparisons, etc. I'm honestly having a lot of fun with it, and we'd love to have you join, so become a channel member today. In the rear lat spread, I'm going to have to bring it back to just a 2-point win for Samson, but he's still winning. Andrew's pitfalls are just too apparent. Again, the lower half goes without saying. Samson isn't even a Nick Walker or a Branch Warren, but Andrew just offers nothing in the way of real opposition. The back on Samson is also an upgrade. There's a lot more depth and fullness to his back, but Andrew is wider, which is very important, but not enough. It convinced me to walk Samson's win back slightly from the last pose, but overall a 2.5-point average across both back poses feels a little more correct than a 3-point average. For our final side pose, we have a true 50-50, so I left it up to my Discord. Again, become a member. But firstly, before I reveal my call, why is it so close? Well, Andrew finally hits this pose like he has some sense. This is the first time I've ever seen him hit it from the side and not his front variation and look actually competent. This photo does have filters and is taken from an even harsher angle, but it's all I could find. Regardless though, it's nice to see him improving something so simple, but something we've all been waiting on for a while. With Andrew getting out of his own way, he wins his fair share of stuff here. I'd give him the side leg once again for better separation. His pecs hold up pretty well with Samson for him having the best chest out there right now. And then of course Andrew has the best midsection out there, so he wins the abs portion of the pose. And in terms of the arm, he has more separation, but Samson has more thickness overall and more size to the horseshoe. So pretty much it's thickness and size versus a little more condition and a slightly more streamlined pose. Again, pretty much 50-50. I personally had Andrew, but my Discord actually had Samson on this, which I completely understand. And I do think this is a slightly more objective choice. He lacks some separation, but clearly there's another degree of thickness to his pose than Andrew's, and Samson's pose is still fairly streamlined. Either way, it would be a 2-point win, but in this video, those points are going to Samson. We've reached the abs and thighs, and Andrew gets his mojo back. Not only is this a win, but it's a solid one. It's one of those 3 shots that he's just untouchable in, and Samson isn't really much of an opponent. Samson's quads have almost 0 detail, and yeah, his abs are decent, but Andrew's are certainly better, and the overall waistline and taper are superior as well. And the quads are somehow an even bigger blowout for Andrew. Samson does stay in the fight barely because of his decent abs, but Andrew is still very clearly taking a strong 3 points here. We end today's mandatory round with probably the closest pose of the matchup. We are now at the point where Andrew has made the most muscular a razor thin pose even against someone like Samson Dauda. Now Samson is Samson. He has this amazing structure, but he's actually filled it out. And that's always going to be insanely impressive. But Andrew finally found a variation of this pose that works, and he's just getting bigger and bigger. I was definitely prepared to make this controversial call alone, but I didn't have to. I put this post in my Discord and most of us agreed. Andrew Jacked takes a small win in the most muscular. I really want to see this on stage though. I have to see them at their best, hitting their best variations of the shot. We've yet to see that. But with that said, my guess is that it can go either way, but I have Andrew. Samson is a bit thicker, a bit more robust than Andrew in this pose, and he does win the chest, and that definitely sticks out, but I think there's more to like from Andrew's side of things. You can't really call Andrew frail here like you could in other shots. This pose hides that extra limb length, and the muscle bellies make him look just as muscular as Samson. And then from a detail standpoint, I definitely have Andrew. That's what sold me. The tie-in between the delt and arm is a good indicator for this. Andrew clearly wins, and Samson is pretty sus, even more so than Andrew. Andrew also has a detailed chest as Samson does. He has the better abs and the better legs because of the separation and detail. I mean, after saying all this stuff and talking through it, I'm actually pretty okay with my choice in Andrew. He's just as impressive from a size and structure perspective, if not a little more so, and he's definitely getting Samson on the detail side of things. It's a shocking turn of events, but I mean, not really. Andrew has finally filled out his immense frame, and he has always had these killer details from the front. But objectively, it's probably a 50-50 pose with really no wrong answer. So let me know down in the comments who you'd be giving this pose to. Next, we have the second round of judging, which consists of the 4 overall physique categories: muscularity, condition, shape, and flaws. Let's start with condition because this one I was a little hung up on a bit. On the surface, I was going to settle for a tie because Andrew was better from the front, but Samson was a bit better from the back, with the side being close. But overall, I felt Samson held up better from the front than Andrew could from the back, while Samson probably wins the side as well, and he was drier overall. And we are judging in the vacuum that is this matchup, so I do think it's appropriate to push it past a tie to a 2-point win for Samson. Next to muscularity, it's a small 2-pointer for him as well. Andrew can measure up quite well from the front. He wins a lot of different body parts. He even held up well from the side, but the back is still kind of a letdown. And overall, Samson is just more filled out right now. Next, in terms of shape, I really should just make this a tie. Andrew is lankier, but that honestly helps him look more aesthetic. But me personally, I like how Samson is a bit more evenly filled out in all the different areas. It's a more balanced look. Still though, I'm going to give this to Andrew for pretty much just being the popular choice. I have no issue with that, so he's just going to take 2 points. And finally, we have flaws, and really the only thing I want to punish here that I haven't already is Andrew's posing. It's the same thing at every show. Some things usually get better, other things still need to be fixed, and some things get a little worse. It just really irks me overall. There's just no excuse for it as a top pro. You may think this is harsh, but if I was on a real judging panel, I'd absolutely make a comment about this to him. I'd mark him down in some way to get his attention on it, as it's something I want to see fixed. So until Andrew does get it fixed, he's always going to take a small loss here against most opponents because I just can't stand bad posing. Alright, and now it's time to reveal the final scores. Andrew may be gaining on that best version of Samson, but he's still behind. Winning this comparison with 58.3 points was Samson Dauda, but Andrew was only 17 points behind with a score of 41.8 points. I know 17 points may seem like a lot, but in this matchup it really isn't. There wasn't a whole lot of points to go around because these guys were so close, so a few changes and this comparison could look quite different. Right now though, Samson is just a bit better. He was really able to pull ahead because of his performance in round 2. He has a more well-rounded physique overall right now, less peaks and valleys compared to Andrew, so he got some big victories in that second round. Andrew was actually able to tie him in the mandatories round though. It was split 4-4 on poses and they each scored 9 points. But to be fair, I think that side chest could have been bumped up to 3 points for Samson, and the side tricep was 50-50. The most muscular was 2, so if anything, Samson would be slightly favored, but I had it as a tie. Anyway, what we see on paper today perfectly encapsulates this matchup. Andrew has some big pluses to his physique with some noticeable shortcomings, while Samson is more even-handed. Andrew's physique allowed for some clear wins in individual poses, but Samson was never that far behind in that round, obviously. He could pick up the pieces in the poses he lost and hold the margin close, and then held it down everywhere else and exposed Andrew where he lacked. And that same even-handedness led him to a big round 2 victory. All in all, Samson is better for bodybuilding at the moment. He's extremely aesthetic. He is right there with Andrew, although Andrew probably does have the better looking physique, but Andrew falls way too far behind in the bodybuilding things. Samson is the best of both worlds. worlds. He's the definition of mass with class, while Andrew is just class trying to catch up on the mass side of things. In some areas and poses, he can clearly play the mass game, at least enough to win those poses, but other areas on him need to catch up, from his backside to the condition from the rear. Again though, this was close. Small changes could have made all the difference. If Andrew locked in on his posing with some minor size gains while bringing his Olympia condition, he would probably have enough points to secure the win over one of the best physiques ever. Again, Samson is too much for him right now, but this is with an older version. Samson is backtracking right now. Andrew, on the other hand, has the wind in his sails and he's in the better position. I think the open division at this year's Olympia was kind of lackluster to say the least, but as the dust settles, we're getting clues of what next year might hold. This matchup here could very well be next year's top 2. If these two versions show up, Samson would get the dub, but Andrew is just as motivated as Samson and he's in a better position. So while he lost today's comparison, Andrew could very well be that 20th man to hoist the Sandow Trophy. Well, that's going to do it for today's video. What did you guys think of this matchup, and who do you think will place higher at next year's Olympia? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. If you guys like this video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more. And I know I already said it a couple of times in this video, but if you want to support the channel even further, consider becoming a channel member and getting access to our exclusive Discord. Anyway, with all that out of the way, I want to thank you guys for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.
Okay, thanks.